Welcome to Mr. Worldwide News English Channel.
Hello, and a massive high-energy welcome to another deep dive.
It's great to be here. I
am absolutely thrilled to be back in the studio with you today. We have got a stack of sources on the desk that are honestly a little bit surprising. I was looking through them this morning with my coffee, and I had to double check I wasn't reading two different newspapers at once.
I'm not you.
We are jumping into a mix of high-stakes politics, international tension, scary military maneuvers, and bears.
It is good to be here. And yes, you heard that right. We are going to be talking about bears, specifically giant pandas.
Right, pandas.
But as always on the deep dive, everything is connected. We are going to see how a major political election connects to trade wars, military fighter jets, and eventually, well, empty spaces at the local zoo.
I love it when we connect the dots like that. It's wild to think about how a ballot box in one country, a piece of paper dropped in a box, can affect animals in another country entirely.
It's a perfect example of globalization, really.
But before we get to the pandas, we have to start with the big headline. This deep dive is designed specifically for our listeners who are mastering English, right?
Exactly.
We know you guys are out there, maybe commuting, maybe washing dishes, wanting to sharpen your skills. So we're going to slow down, unpack some complex ideas, and really dig into some advanced vocabulary along the way.
That is the plan. We have a very clear mission today. We are looking at the recent election in Japan. A new leader has taken the stage, and let's just say the neighbors aren't exactly bringing over a welcome cake.
They are not happy.
Not at all. We want to understand the election of Sana Takaichi, why China is so upset about it, and we are going to learn 4 specific, powerful English words that you will see all the time in the news.
Perfect. So grab your coffee or your tea or your notebook. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
The headline is simple enough. Japan has a new prime minister.
That is right. And it is not just that she won. It is how she won, and maybe more importantly, what happened immediately after. It's a story about a diplomatic incident that involves everything from harsh words to actual economic threats. It's a classic case of cause and effect on the global stage.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The sources say that on Sunday, Sana Takaichi won the election to become Japan's prime minister. Now, usually when I hear about elections, sometimes it is really close. Like 51% to 49%. You are biting your nails until the very last vote is counted. Was this a close race?
Not at all. And that brings us to our first major concept of the day. The sources describe her win as a landslide.
A landslide. Okay, I've heard this word before. When I think of a landslide, I think of literal landsliding.
Exactly.
Like in a disaster movie.
Yeah.
Rocks, mud, trees, all falling down a mountain and crushing everything in their path. It sounds terrifying.
That is the literal visual, yes. And it is a destructive force of nature. If you were standing at the bottom of the mountain, you can't stop it. It just overwhelms everything. But in the context of news and politics, we use this word metaphorically. A landslide means a victory by a very, very large margin.
So she didn't just scrape by. She didn't just win by one vote.
Not even close.
She crushed the competition.
Exactly. Think of it this way. If you are watching a football game or soccer, depending on where you were listening from, and the score is 2-1, that is a close game.
A nail-biter.
Right. But if the score is 100-0, that is a landslide.
100-0. Okay, that paints a very clear picture. It is total dominant. You can't even argue with that result.
You can't. Let's spell that out for everyone because it is a compound word. It is made of 2 separate words, land and slide. It is spelled Landslide. Landslide.
Landslide.
Got it.
So Takaichi wins a landslide victory. That must feel great for her.
Oh, absolutely.
I imagine walking into the office on Monday morning feeling pretty confident if I won 100-0. You feel like everyone loves you, everyone supports your ideas.
She definitely has what we call a strong mandate from the people. A mandate means the authority to do what she wants, to push her agenda. Okay. But here is where it gets really interesting. Usually, that confidence is a good thing. It helps you get things done. But in international politics, if a leader is too confident or, confident in a specific way, it can make their neighbors very nervous.
Because they have too much power or too much freedom to act.
Exactly. If a leader barely wins, they have to be careful. They have to compromise with the opposition. But if they win a landslide, they can be bold.
I see.
And if your neighbor is bold and you don't like their policies, That is scary.
And that is exactly what happened here. Right? We're looking at the reaction from Beijing, from China.
Precisely. Usually when a neighbor wins an election, you send a congratulatory note.
Right.
Diplomatic protocol, it says you should be polite. You say, we look forward to working with you. Congrats on the new job.
Right. Even if you don't really like them, you send a fruit basket or something and keep the peace.
But that is not what happened here.
No.
Not at all. The government in Beijing issued a warning immediately on Monday. They didn't wait. The votes were barely counted and the warning was already out.
Wow. Monday morning.
Yeah.
No time wasted. That signals they were ready for this result, doesn't it? They were watching this very closely.
Oh, absolutely. This brings us to our next two vocabulary words, and they are really important for understanding the tone here. These aren't just casual words, they are diplomatic signals.
Okay.
The Chinese spokesman warned against reckless actions. And they said if Japan acts this way, there will be a resolute response.
Okay, those are heavy words. Reckless and resolute. They almost sound like opposites, in terms of discipline.
Sure do.
Let's break them down. What does reckless actually mean in this context?
Reckless is a great word to know, though it usually describes bad behavior. It basically means doing something dangerous without caring about the result. It is the opposite of being careful, cautious, or prudent.
Okay. So if I am driving my car down the highway, the speed limit is 100, but I'm going 200 kilometers per hour, and maybe I am texting on my phone at the same time.
That is the perfect definition of reckless driving.
Right.
You know it is dangerous, you know you could crash, you know you could hurt someone, but you do it anyway. You are ignoring the consequences.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's acting without thinking about the danger. And let's get the spelling on that.
Reckless is spelled R-E-C-K-L-E-S-S.
R-E-C-K-L-E-S-S.
Yeah.
So China is accusing Japan, or I guess warning Japan, not to be reckless. They're essentially saying, don't drive the car of state too fast.
Don't text and drive with our relationship.
Exactly. Don't take risks that could cause a crash. And then we have the consequence. If Japan is reckless, China threatened a resolute response.
Yes.
Resolute. I like the sound of that word. It sounds strong. It sounds
It's
solid.
very strong. Resolute means admirably firm, determined, and unwavering. Someone who is resolute does not change their mind.
Unshakable.
Unshakable is a great word for it. They have made a decision and they stick to it no matter what happens.
So if reckless is being careless and wild, resolute is being totally focused and unshakable.
That is a good way to put it. It implies a kind of strength, a seriousness.
Can we use this in daily life? Or is it only for scary government warnings and military threats?
Oh, no, you can definitely use it in daily life. It is actually a very positive word when it's applied to personal goals. Do you have an example in mind?
Let's see. Okay, imagine my friend loves candy. She loves chocolate, donuts, everything sugar. But she decides she needs to get healthy. So she decides to quit sugar completely. Even when I offer her a delicious donut, she says no. She doesn't hesitate. She made a resolute decision to quit sugar. Does that work?
That is a perfect example. Is she wavering? No. Is she tempted? Maybe, but she doesn't show it.
She is determined.
She is determined. She's resolute.
And let's spell that one too.
Resolute is R-E-S-O-L-U-T-E.
R-E-S-O-U-T-E.
Okay.
So putting it all together within the context of the source material.
Yeah.
We have a landslide victory for Takeichi, giving her lots of power.
Right.
But Beijing is fearful of reckless behavior from her, and they are promising to be resolute, unwavering, if Japan steps out of line.
You have nailed it. It is a clash of wills right from the start. One side has a landslide mandate, the other side has a resolute promise to stop them.
But this begs the question, why? Why is China so angry immediately? Usually there is a honeymoon period with a new leader.
You'd think so.
Did Takeichi do something on Monday morning to cause this?
Yeah.
Did she sign a law? Or is this old baggage?
It is definitely history, but recent history.
Yeah.
To understand this, we have to go back to last year. This isn't about what she did yesterday. It is about what she said she might do.
Okay, fill me in. What did she say that made them so mad?
It all revolves around Taiwan. Takeichi made a comment stating that Tokyo, meaning the Japanese government, could intervene militarily if Taiwan were attacked.
Ooh, okay. Intervene. That is our third big word today.
It is.
And that is a very serious word in politics, isn't it?
It is. To intervene means to step in, to enter a situation in order to change what is happening. It comes from the Latin, meaning to come between.
So let's use a non-political example. If two kids are fighting on the playground, they're pushing each other.
Okay.
And the teacher runs over and steps between them to stop
The
it.
teacher intervenes. Yes. The teacher changes the outcome of the fight by getting involved.
Let's spell that.
Intervene. I-N-T-E-R-V-E-N-E.
I-N-T-E-R-V-E-N.
So Takaichi said Japan might intervene, step in, if there was a conflict in Taiwan. Now, for our listeners who might not follow Asian politics closely, why is that specific comment so explosive?
Because China views Taiwan as its own territory.
Oh.
It is a core issue for them, what they call a core interest.
Right.
They see it as a domestic issue, an internal affair. So if Japan says, we will intervene, China hears, we are going to invade your territory to stop you.
Ah, I see. From Beijing's perspective, that is a massive offense. It's not like intervening in a fight between two separate countries.
Not at all.
They see it as Japan saying they will get involved in China's internal business. That explains why they are using words like reckless. Exactly. They view an intervention as the most reckless thing Japan could possibly do. It's crossing a red line.
That makes sense now. So what does China want? Do they just want an apology? Do they want her to send a letter saying sorry?
They want more than just an I'm sorry. An apology is about feelings. They want something more formal, more legalistic in a way. They want Japan to retract the comment.
Retract, that sounds technical. It sounds like something a lawyer would say.
It is a bit formal, yes. To retract means to take back a statement. It is like saying, I admit that I said that, but I am pulling it back. It is no longer valid. Delete it from the record.
It's like hitting the delete button on something you said out loud.
Right.
Or like when a newspaper prints a wrong fact, and the next day they print a correction, they retract the story.
Exactly. It nullifies the previous statement. It's a way of saying, oops, I didn't mean that, but in a very official way.
And the spelling.
Retract is R-E-T-R-A-C-T.
R-E-T-R-A-C-T.
So China demands she retract the statement. But let's look at the situation.
We just learned she won a landslide victory. She feels powerful. She feels like the people love her. Do you think a leader who just won 100-0 is going to say, oops, sorry, and take it back?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? That is the core of the conflict. And the analysis in our sources suggests probably not.
Why not? Wouldn't it be easier to just say sorry and move on, keep the peace?
It might be easier for peace, but it is hard for politics. The sources mention that China is worried about far-right forces. Takaichi is seen as a conservative politician.
Okay.
Her supporters like that she is tough. They like that she stands up to China. If she retracts, she looks weak to the very people who just gave her a landslide victory.
Ah, the trap of looking weak. You can't back down.
Exactly. With a landslide win, she has a lot of support to be resolute herself. She probably feels she doesn't need to retract anything.
So we have an irresistible force meeting an immovable object.
That's a very good way to put it.
Takaichi won't retract because she won a landslide. China won't back down because they are resolute about Taiwan.
A very poetic way to put it. And that is where the danger lies. When neither side can back down, things escalate.
So let's talk about that escalation. Is this just a war of words? Is it just politicians yelling at each other in newspapers and on TV? Or does this actually affect real people?
I wish I could say it was just words we can handle. But according to the reports, this has already escalated into physical and economic threats.
Yikes. Okay, give me the details. How bad is it?
Well, let's start with safety in the military. It gets pretty scary. First, there's a travel ban. China is telling its citizens not to travel to Japan.
That hurts tourism, for sure. Japan is a huge destination for Chinese tourism. So that is a lot of money lost for hotels, restaurants, shops.
It is. It's an economic weapon. But that is just money. Then there was a specific incident mentioned in the sources that happened in December. It sounds like something out of an action movie or Top Gun.
Oh no, what happened?
Chinese military aircraft reportedly locked their radar onto Japanese jets.
Locked their radar. Okay, I am not a pilot. What does that mean exactly? Don't radars always see planes?
That's a great question. There are different kinds of radar modes. So search radar just looks around to see who's there, like a lighthouse beam sweeping the area.
Okay.
But locking your radar is different. It means the targeting system of the jet has focused exclusively on one plane. It is calculating the speed, the distance, and the trajectory for a missile.
Whoa, so it's like putting the crosshairs of a gun on someone?
Exactly. It is the step you take right before you fire a missile. It triggers alarms in the other pilot's cockpit. It is an unmistakable threat. It says, I see you, I have you in my sights, and I can shoot you down right now.
That is terrifying. That is not just a diplomatic argument, that is risking actual war. One mistake, one miscalculation.
It is extremely dangerous. One wrong move, one reckless pilot who panics, and things could go wrong very, very fast.
It really puts the reckless comment into perspective. If radars are locking, the margin for error is zero. Okay, so we have scary jets in the sky. But you also mentioned economic threats.
Yes. And this is where it hits the factories and the businesses. This affects the things you and I buy every day.
How so?
Beijing has reportedly stopped exporting rare earth products to Japan.
Rare earth products. I have heard this term, but I admit I don't really know what they are. Are they like diamonds or gold? Why are they rare?
That is a great question. They aren't used for jewelry, and strangely enough, they aren't actually that rare in the ground. You can find them in many places.
Then why are they called rare earths? That seems like bad branding.
It's because it is very, very difficult to find them in large clumps that are easy to mine. And processing them, getting the pure metal out of the rock, is incredibly difficult, expensive, and frankly, very dirty.
Dirty how?
It involves acids and toxic waste. It's a very environmentally damaging process.
I see. So most countries don't want to do the dirty work.
Exactly. But China spent years building the factories to do it, so now they control the vast majority of the global supply. These minerals have names like neodymium and dysprosium.
Sounds like sci-fi stuff. What are they used for?
Everything modern. We are talking about the powerful magnets in electric car motors, the screens on our smartphones, the tiny speakers in our headphones. And yes, also for building missiles and military equipment.
Oh, wow. So if you don't have these rare earths, you can't make iPhones or electric cars.
Exactly. You can have the steel, the glass, the rubber tires, but without the rare earths, the car doesn't go. The phone doesn't work. And China controls a huge amount of the world's supply of these processed minerals.
So by cutting off the supply, they are squeezing Japan's economy right where it hurts.
They are holding the manufacturing economy hostage. Without these minerals, Japan struggles to build cars. And since Japan is famous for making cars think Toyota, Honda, Nissan, that is a direct hit to their wallet.
It is amazing how fragile these supply chains are. You have a political speech about Taiwan, and suddenly a factory in Japan can't build a car engine because a mine in China stopped shipping a specific dust.
That is the reality of our connected world. Politics and economics are the same thing these days. You cannot separate them.
It really is heavy stuff. We have military radar locks, we have trade wars, we have reckless warnings. It feels very cold and industrial. It feels like machines fighting machines.
It does. But there is one more part of this story that is much more emotional. It brings it down to a human, or I guess an animal level. And it brings us back to what we teased at the very beginning.
The bears. Finally, tell me about the bears. How do pandas fit into all this?
The bears. Specifically, the concept of panda diplomacy.
I love that phrase, panda diplomacy.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cartoon where a panda is wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase. But it is a real thing, right?
It's very real, and it has been very effective for a long time. For decades, China has used giant pandas as a diplomatic tool.
The tool?
A friendly one. The giant panda is only native to China, so they loan these beautiful, rare animals to zoos in other countries as a sign of friendship and goodwill.
It's a pretty good gift, honestly. Everyone loves pandas. They're cute, they roll around, they eat bamboo, kids love them.
They do. It is a gesture of goodwill. It softens the image of the country. It makes people smile. We call it soft power.
Soft power, I like that.
Hard power is the missiles and the radar locks. Soft power is the pandas. But the sources tell us something very sad happened last month.
What?
Two very popular pandas that were living in Tokyo left. Their names were Riri and Shin. They were put on a plane and returned to China.
Oh no. So the zoo is empty.
In terms of Chinese pandas, yes. The sources say that for the first time in 50 years, 50 Japan has no pandas on loan from China.
50 years. That is a lifetime for many people. That means for grandmothers, mothers, and children, there have always been pandas at the zoo in Tokyo.
It is. And we have to look at the symbolism here. In diplomacy, nothing happens by accident. If sending a panda is a sign of warm friendship, what does it mean when the pandas go home?
It means the friendship is over. Or at least it's on a break. It's like when you break up with someone and you ask for your sweaters back. It's a clear signal.
Exactly. It symbolizes that the relationship is cold, it is broken, the lease on the pandas ran out, and China chose not to renew it.
That is actually really heartbreaking. I mean, think about the kids. You go to the zoo to see the pandas, and they are gone. You ask your parents why, and the answer is complicated.
Well, son, it's about rare earth minerals and Taiwan sovereignty and a comment made last year.
Exactly. It really drives home the point. This isn't just about high-level meetings in fancy rooms. It affects everything.
It does.
It affects the car industry, it affects safety in the air for pilots, and it affects the cultural exchange and, the simple joy that happens at the local zoo.
It's a lot to take in, so let's try to connect all the dots here. Let's look at the whole picture. We started with a landslide election.
Right. Sanai Takaichi wins big, a landslide. She has the mandate, but she has a history of being very outspoken about Taiwan and military intervention.
Which leads to China immediately calling her potential actions reckless.
And threatening a resolute response if she crosses their line.
Which then turns into real-world problems. No rare earth minerals for cars, scary moments with fighter jets locking radar.
And finally, no more pandas. The friendship is officially cold.
That is the narrative arc. It is a standoff. It feels like two cowboys staring at each other in an old Western movie.
It really feels like a standoff. Both sides seem to be digging in their heels. Both sides are being resolute, if you will.
That is the perfect way to use the word.
Takaichi is standing by her policy. And remember, she has a landslide victory, so she feels supported. China is standing by its territorial claims over Taiwan. Neither side feels they can back down.
So where do we go from here? The sources don't tell us the future, but what does history suggest? If you and I are speculating, how does this end?
Well, looking at the economics, Japan needs those rare earths. They can't just invent them.
Right.
And China needs customers. They need Japan and other countries to buy the minerals. It's a huge part of their economy.
Right. They are economically codependent. They need each other to survive, whether they like it or not.
That is often what saves the peace, isn't it? Money. War is expensive. Trade is profitable.
Exactly. And diplomacy is the key. Usually when things get this tense, communication is the only way out. Someone has to pick up the phone.
You mean actually talking to each other?
Yeah.
Instead of just issuing warnings and retracting pandas?
Exactly. Right now, they are shouting at each other through press releases and trade bans. But to prevent those reckless actions from turning into a real disaster, someone has to intervene, not militarily, but diplomatically.
We advocate for peace over problems.
Oh,
Always. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure our listeners really locked in those 4 words. We threw a lot of information at you today, but those words are your tools. Let's do a rapid-fire recap.
Let's do it. I'll give the definition. You give me the word.
I am ready.
Okay. A victory by a huge margin, like winning 100-0, rocks falling down a mountain.
That is a landslide. Landslide.
Correct. Word number 2, doing something dangerous without caring about the consequences, like driving too fast while texting.
That is reckless. Don't be reckless with your English studies. Reckless.
Good advice. Word number 3, being firm, determined, and unwavering. Sticking to your decision like glue, like quitting sugar.
That is resolute. Resolut.
Perfect. And word number 4, to step in. To enter a situation to change the outcome, like a teacher stopping a fight.
That is intervene. Intervene.
And we also touched on retract, which means to take back what you said, to nullify it.
A bonus 5th word. There you go. Now, we always like to leave our listeners with something to think about, a question of the day, to practice their critical thinking in English.
That is right. And today, I want to put you in the shoes of a world leader. It is a tough job. You have voters, you have neighbors, you have the economy, you have national pride. It's a balancing act.
So here is the question for all of you listening. If you were a world leader, what is the best way to solve a disagreement with a neighbor? Would you stop trade, like the rare earths ban, or would you try to talk it out, even if you disagree?
That is a tough one. Because if you just talk, maybe you look weak, maybe your voters think you are soft. But if you stop trade, you hurt your own economy too. It's a double-edged sword.
Exactly. There is no easy answer. What do you think is the first step?
I think your idea was best from earlier.
What, sending a gift?
Send the pandas back. Panda diplomacy might be the best answer after all. It is hard to be angry when you are looking at a panda.
That is very true. Well, we want to hear from you. If you were listening, try to answer that question in English. Talk to your friends about it. Write it in a journal. It's great practice to express your opinion on complex topics.
Absolutely. Don't be shy. Language is about communication.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. From landslide elections to reckless threats, resolute promises, and the intervention of pandas. We covered it all.
It was a pleasure breaking it down with you.
Remember to stay curious, keep practicing your vocabulary, and be resolute in your learning. We will see you in the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.